Hello viewers, you're watching Bureaucrat 1 video. In this video, we will see the Indian literature. The navigation to this particular article is go to bureaucrat1.com, art and culture and Indian literature. Coming to Indian literature, literature is classified as fiction and non-fiction. Usually, fiction is presented in narrative texts and non-fiction is presented in didactic texts. Other classifications include prose and poem. In case of India, we have a literature under Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, we have Vedic literature and classical Sanskrit literature. In Vedic literature, there is Vedas, that is Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva. And there is Vedangas, Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads or Vedanta, Puranas or Upapuranas. Coming to classical Sanskrit literature, there is a two great epics are also called as Mahakavya, which is Mahabharata and Ramayana. And there is Sanskrit drama and then Sanskrit poetry. And then other most important uh, literature is the Sangam literature. This is important from the point of view of UPSC examinations or any competitive examinations. In fact, in the entire chapter, if you prepare just Sangam literature, it is more than enough for UPSC mains examinations. But in case of preliminary examination, you have to prepare entire Indian literature. And there are other Dravidian literatures, and then medieval literature, and then the modern literature. These are the table of contents that we will see in this particular video. Coming to literature in ancient India, we have Vedas. Veda means knowledge. Knowledge to conduct life. It's written in poetic style. It is full of symbols and myths. It was initially orally transmitted by Brahmins, but then it was finally compiled between 3000 BC and 1000 BC. It is considered as a divine revelations. And this is and the word Vasudeva Kudumpakam is mentioned in Vedas. That means to treat the entire universe as one big family. There are four major Vedas: Rig, Yajur, Sama and Atharva. Rig, Yajur and Sama is together is called Traji. And in case of Veda, most of the emphasis is on sacrifice. Coming to Brahmanas, Upanishads are Aranyakas usually accompany each Veda. Coming to Rig Veda, it's oldest of all. It is organized in 10 books called mandalas. Each mandalas has sukta or its hymns. It focuses on world prosperity and worldly beauty. And the chief deity is Indra. Coming to Atharva Veda, it is also called as Brahma Veda. It is attributed to two rishis, Atharva and Angira. Therefore, it is also called as Atharvangirasa. It focuses on peace and prosperity and all aspects of man's daily life, including treatment of several ailments. Two major recensions or sakas are present in this particular Veda, that is Paipalada and Saunakya. The text also deals with black magic and white magics and also speculations of changes in universe that has happened and that will happen. Coming to Yajurveda, it means sacrifice. It's a guidebook for priests who conduct sacrifice and rituals. There are two major recensions or called as Samhitas, that is Shukla and Krishna. Coming to Samaveda, it means melodies or songs. Due to lyrical nature of this text, it is also called as Book of Chants. It contains many ragas, that is musical notes and raginis. Vedangas. To fully understand Vedas, supplementary texts like Vedangas, or which is also called as limbs of Vedas or branches of Vedas, are also studied. There are 6 Vedangas, that is Siksha, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotisha, Vyakaran and Kalpa. These are the corresponding English translations or the meaning of these 6 Vedangas. And there are many treatises or rulebook was created under these subjects. Panini's Astyayi, which is a most important factual thing that has been asked in many of the examinations. That is Panini's Astyayi is a Sanskrit grammar text, is one such a text. You have to remember this text and the author. Author is Panini and the text is Astyayi. Coming to Brahmanas, each Veda has a Brahmana attached. It has commentaries in particular Vedas. Brahmana is a Hindu Shruti or revealed knowledge or literature. These are the Brahmanas attached to each of these Vedas. You can take a look into these Brahmanas and Rigveda, and it is necessary to remember all these things. Coming to Aranyakas, it is taught by forest-dwelling holy men called Munis. Aranyakas means also forests. It's a compilation of rituals and sacrifices involved in Vedas. Coming to Upanishads, it's also called as Vedanta or Veda plus Anta because they are the end part of Vedas. Upanishads means to sit down near the teacher. The literal meaning is to sit down near, but the implied meaning is to sit down near the teacher. It is orally transmitted in Guru Siksha Parampara, that is Guru Siksha system. It talks about ways of moksha or salvation. Out of 200 known Upanishads, there are 108 Upanishads, which is also called as Muktika Canon, are important because there are 108 beats in Hindu Mala. There is a difference between Upanishads and Aranyakas. Upanishads means knowledge and spirituality sections, while Aranyaka is the ritualistic actions and sacrifice section. Coming to Mahabharata, it has several versions, but most popular version was penned by Vedvyas in Sanskrit. Initially, there are 8,800 verses called Jaya, meaning victory. Over a period, many stories were added and verses increased to 24,000 from 8,800. And it was renamed as Bharata by Vedic tribes. But then current version has more than 1 lakh verses and divided into 10 chapters or parvas with insects called Itihas Purana or mythical history. It also includes Bhagavad Gita, a didactical text of Hindus. It's a concise guide to Hindu philosophical dilemmas and how to live a righteous life. Contains dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. It talks about Dhamma and various kinds of Dhamma. It suggests mankind to follow Nishkama Karma, that is to perform one's duties to family and world in a selfless way. Story is based on conflict between Kauravas and Pandavas over a throne of Hastinapur. Sutradhar or impresario is the Lord Krishna. That is, he is the one who takes this entire story. Coming to Ramayana, it is penned by Valmiki, also called as Adi Kavi, that is first amongst the poets. So Ramayana is also called as Adi Kavya. It's compiled around 1500 BC. The story is about Rama, who is projected as an ideal man for mankind. It teaches fourfold objectives or Purushartha through Rama's life. The fourfold objectives are dharma, artha, kama and moksha. Dharma means righteousness, artha means achievement in worldly sphere, kama means fulfilling worldly desires, moksha means liberations. It contains 24,000 verses divided into 7 books called Kandas. Coming to Puranas, it talks about that which renews the old. Mythological narrative stories of creations of universe till its destruction is mentioned. A easy form of story writing style made it very popular among the masses. Puranas use parables and fables. Parables are stories in prose or verse teaching spiritual, moral, religious lessons featuring human character. While in case of fables, it is also a stories in prose or verse teaching morals through pithy maxims or clear story featuring animals, inanimate objects, mythical creatures, plants, etc. Examples include Panchatantra by Vishnu Sharma. You have to remember this book and the author. And also another example of fables is Hitopadesha by Narayan Pandit. It focuses on Hindu Trimurti. It's a trinity or three gods, that is Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva or Maheshwara. There are 18 major Puranas or Mahapuranas. The well-known Mahapuranas are Bhagavata, Brahma, Vayu, Agni, Garuda, Padma, Vishnu Purana and Matsya Purana. And there is Upapuranas. Puranas became so popular that it gave rise to subgenre called Upapuranas or minor Puranas. 19 minor Puranas are there. It's based on 5 major subjects dictated by Sanskrit lexicographer from Gupta age called Amarimha. These are the 5 major subjects under which these 18 minor Puranas are written. That is Sarga, Pratisharga, Manvantra, Vamsha, Vamshanucharita. Coming to classical Sanskrit literature, there are 2 great epics which are precursor to Sanskrit Kavya, that is epic poetries, or Nataka, which is a classical drama, and other treatises on medicine, statecraft, grammar. The grammar is Panini's Astadhyayi, very important, and mathematics, etc. Kalidasa wrote Malavika Agnimitra. It's a love story between Malavika and Agnimitra. And also Kalidasa wrote Vikramor Urvashya. It is also a love story between Vikram and Urvashya. And also Abhinyan Shakuntala. It's a very important book written by Kalidasa. It is a recognition of Shakuntala. Sudraka wrote Nrichikatika, which is very important. It means which is a clay cart. It's a love affair of young Brahmin Charudatta with a courtesan. Vishakadatta wrote Mudra It's a political drama, narrates ascent of King Chandragupta Maurya to power. And also he wrote Dev Chandragupta. Bhavabuddhi wrote Uttara Ramacharitam. It's a later life of Rama. And Basha wrote Swapna Vasavandata. Vasavadatta is a dream. Sanskrit poetry or a kavya. Poetry focuses on form, style, figure of speech, unlike drama that focuses on stories. There are major poets. Kalidasa is the most important poet. He wrote Kumara Sambhava, Raghuvamsha, Meghadatta, and Ritu Shambhara. These are all the literal meaning or the crux of these books. Harisena wrote poems praising the valor of Samudragupta. and it was so good, later it was inscribed in Allahabad's pillar. Jayadeva wrote Gita Govinda, which is a life of Lord Krishna or his love for Radha. Bharavi wrote Kiratharanjuniyam, which is a story about Kirat and Arjun. And Maga wrote Shishupal Vada, which is a killing of Shishupal. And Aswagosha wrote Saundarananda, which is very important. Other Sanskrit books are Dharmasutra, which is a book on law, Dharmashastras, which is Dharmasutras plus many Smritis. It's a law book governing most Hindu states. Manusmriti is the law of Manu. Arthashastra by Kautilya or Chanakya or Vishnugupta. It's a book on statecraft. Buddha Charitra was written by Aswagosha, which is very important from examination point of view. It's a biography of Buddha. Aswagosha also wrote a poem called Saundarananda. Other scientific text. This is the most important books and the authors that can be asked in the preliminary examinations. Charaka or Charak wrote Charaka Samhita, it's a book on medicine. Sushruta wrote Sushruta Samhita, it's a book on surgery. Madhava wrote Madhava Nindana, it's a book on pathology. Pathogens means bacteria, viruses. It's a science of pathologies. These bacteria and viruses. Varamihira wrote Pancha Siddhantika, it's a book on astrology. And also he also wrote Brihat Samhita. It's a book on wide-ranging subjects like planetary movements, geology and architecture. Aryabhatta wrote Aryabhatya, which is very important from the examination point of view. It's a book on astronomy and mathematics. And Lagdacharya wrote a book on astrology. Other Sanskrit literature in medieval period was written in one in Kashmiri, that is Kalhan's Rajatarangini. It details accounts of kings of Kashmir. In Rajasthan, Somadeva wrote Katha Sarit Sagar. It's a poetic work. Coming to literatures in Pali and Prakrit. Post-Vedic period, Pali and Prakrit gained prominence. Pali is an archaic form of Prakrit, while Prakrit is loosely attached to many languages that is not Sanskrit. Many Buddhist and Jain literature were composed in this language because this language was used by the masses. Sanskrit was a language that was used by the elite class, or in particular used by the Brahmins. Even Lord Buddha used Pali to give his sermon so that he can reach many common people. Coming to Buddhist literature, there are two types, canonical and non-canonical. Coming to canonical, Tripitakas or baskets of knowledge. There are three important, that is three Pitakas, that is Vinay Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitakas. Vinay Pitakas is the rules and regulation to be followed in the Buddhist monks. Sutta Pitaka is the speeches of Buddha about morality and righteous dharma. And Abhidhamma Pitaka is a philosophy and metaphysics, but also includes ethics, theory of knowledge and psychology. Coming to non-canonical, Jatakas, it's a compilation of stories of previous births of Buddha. It is believed Buddha passed through 550 births before being born as a Gautama. It includes stories of Bodhisattva, a person on paths of becoming Buddha. These tales combine popular tales plus ancient mythologies, socio-political conditions of North India. Also available in Sanskrit and Pali. Coming to Jain literature, important Jain literature is mostly written in Prakrit, that is Angas, Upangas and Parikramas. Other Prakrit texts like Chedab Sutra and Mala Sutra were also there. Sanskrit literature were also present, which one such example is Upamiti Bhava Prapancha Katha by Siddha Rashi. Secular texts by some Jain writers are Hemachandra. It's a treatise on lexicography and grammar, while Hala wrote Gata Sapta Shati. He just wrote few verses in this particular book, but this book had many elements or some elements of erotica. What is most important is most of the verses were penned by female poetesses, including Pahai, Roha, Sasipaha, Mahakavi, and Reva. Coming to Dravidian literature, Sangam literature is the most important literature from the examination point of view. But we will also see Kannada literature, Telugu literature, and Malayalam literature for the sense of completion. Coming to Sangam literature, Sangam means fraternity. Pandya kingdom organized assemblies where poets and writers can assemble to compile and promote Tamil literature. These assemblies were called as Sangam. It had a collection of more than 2000 poems and was written by more than 400 poets, while more than 100 poets were anonymous. Anonymous means the author of the poem was not known. It was compiled during 300 BC and 300 AD. So it was so popular, this period is itself called as Sangam period. Two major schools in Sangam literature is Agam and Puram. Agam is inner field, Puram is outer field. The inner human aspects of love and sexual relations are mentioned in Agam literature. In Puram literature, human experiences like social life, ethics, valor, and customs are mentioned. There are three major Sangam were organized, first, second, and third, and all the three in Pandya kingdom. And two was organized in Madurai, because Madurai is the capital city of Pandya kingdom, while the second one was organized in Kapatapuram. And the chairman of the first Sangam is Tamil Sangam is Agastya, and no book survived during this period. And then during second Sangam, it was shared by Tolkapiyar, although it was initially shared by Agastya, but then Tolkapiyar took over later, and more than 2000 poems were compiled into Tolkapiyam. And third one was headed by Nakirar. And most of the existing Sangam literature were written or compiled during this period. Coming to Tamil literature, there are 18 great texts, or it is also called as Padinen Keelkanakku Noolgal, but then you just need to remember this 18 great texts. In 18 great texts, there are 8 anthologies and 10 songs. These sub-texts are not needed from UPSC point of view, but this can be asked in TNPSC examinations. There are 18 greater texts and 18 lesser texts. That is all that is needed to be remembered for the purpose of UPSC examinations. And Tirukural is one such text in 18 lesser text. This is very important from the UPSC point of view because it is the most famous Tamil literature. It was written by Thiruvalluvar and it is mostly written on ethics and morality. But then it had three parts. The first part is about ethics, while the second and third is about wealth and love. Other Sangam texts are Avayar. Avayar is a saint. She is a female saint. She created many literary works. One fine example of her work is Atichudi. And there are other literature post Sangam period. There are two great epics, that is Silapadigaram by Ilango Vadigal, which is important from UPSC point of view. It's a story of an anklet, and Manimegalai by Chatanar. It is a story of Manimegalai. Coming to Bhakti movement, there are Vaishnava Bhakti saints, and in Vaishnava Bhakti saints there are 12 saints and they are called as Alvars. And most important is Andal is the only female Alvar saint. In Shaivism Bhakti saints there are 68 Nayanmars. and these saints are called Nayanmars. There are 63 of them, and these are the few important Nayanmars. That is Upper Nandanar, the only Dalit saint. Karaikal Ammayar is a women saint, and Sirindodar is the army general of Palwa king. Cheraman Perumal is a Chera king, and Nindrasir Nedumaran is a Pandya king. Mangayakarasir is his wife. And then there are two major secular writings, that is Periya Puranam and Kamba Ramayanam. It's a Ramayanam written by Kambar. There is a landscape. There are Tamil landscape mentioned in Tamil literature. The landscape is Mullai, Kurinji, Marudam, Palai and Neidal. The English translation is Mullai means forest, Kurinji means mountain, Marudam means farmland, Palai means desert, Neidal means seashore. I'll later update the god and the people living in this particular landscape. This can be asked in the UPSC preliminary examinations. Malayalam literature, Telugu literature and Kannada literature is not very important from the point of view of UPSC. But for the sense of completion, I have added this, and you can go through all this other South Indian or Dravidian architecture. Coming to medieval literature, Persian emerged as a language of Delhi Sultanate and Mughal court. Hindi developed from Apabhramsha, which is another language during medieval periods. Persian literature is one of the most important medieval literature, and most important author is Amir Khusro, also called as Amir Khusro of Delhi. He wrote Diwan, No Shifr, Mashnavi, Dual Rani, Khizr Khan. Ziauddin Barani is top historian, and he wrote Tariq-e-Firuz Sahi. Minhaj as-Siraj is also another famous historian. Ibn Battuta is a Moroccan traveler. He had several accounts on the socio-political scenario of that period. Babar wrote an autobiography in Turkish called Tazk-i-Babari. Jahangir also wrote a biography called Tazk-i-Jahangiri. And Gulbadan Begum is a half-sister of Humayun. She wrote a biography on Humayun called Humayun Nama. During Akbar's period, although he was illiterate, but he ordered a lot of translations from Sanskrit to Persian. One such example is Mahabharata. It was translated into Persian as Raznama. And Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita and several Upanishads were translated into Persian. Literature reached its peak during his rule. Highly illustrated work is Hamzanama, and there is a mythical Persian hero called Amir Hamza. Malik Muhammad Yasi wrote Padmavat. Badauni wrote an ethics of political rule. Faizi is a master in Persian poetry. Abdul Fazl is a historian in Akbar's court, and he wrote Aini Akbari and Akbarnama, a biography of Akbar. During Shah Jahan's period, Shahjahanama was written by Abdul Hamid Lahori. During Aurangzeb period, Takbat-i-Alamgiri was written by Aurangzeb himself, and Kulliyat by Mir Jafar Jatali. And coming to Urdu, the most important poet is Mirza Ghalib, and he wrote Diwan. It's a collection of poetry. Rest of the Urdu literature you can go through for yourself. Coming to Hindi literature, most important is the first Hindi book written on life of Prithviraj Chauhan called Prithviraj Raso. Hindi evolved in the 7th and 14th century from Apabhramsa, which in turn evolved from Prakrit. Bhakti movement gave a big boost to Hindi as they shunned the Sanskrit, which is which common people didn't use because of Brahmin's monopoly. Many of the Hindi literature by Bhakti writers, many of the Hindi literature were created by the Bhakti writers. Few such examples is Kabir's Dohas, which is couplets, Tulsidas Ramacharitmas, and Lord Krishna became a focus for many of the Bhakti writers. So Surdas wrote Sursagar, which is a story of Krishna's infancy. Mirabai is a woman devotee and she wrote about Krishna. And Bihari's Satsai, 700 verses. It's also about Krishna. Coming to modern literature, these are things that wasn't asked much in the UPSC examination point of view. So you can go through yourself if it is something of an importance for you. Similarly, Bengali, Odia, and Assamese literature is also not frequently asked, but then I'll still touch few examples like Rabindranath Tagore was awarded Nobel Prize for his work Gitanjali in 1913, and Bankim Chandra Chatterjee wrote Anand Manth, from which Vande Mataram is an excerpt taken from this novel. These are all the other Assamese literature and Odia literature. Similarly, Gujarati, Rajasthani, and Sindhi literature is not much asked, so you can go through yourself. Even Kashmiri literature is not much asked, but then this is important. Kalhan's Rajatarangini in Sanskrit. Coming to Punjabi literature, it is also not asked much, but then Adi Granth is a Sikh religious text and it is written in Gurmukhi. It comprises of dogas of Kabir, Dadu, and Nanak in Hindi and Braj language. Guru Gobind Singh also contributed to this Adi Granth. Guru Gobind Singh also wrote another book called Savayas. Later on, many nationalist writings were there, developed, and Bhagat Singh wrote Rangdi Basanti Chola. Coming to Marathi literature, it reached its peak during Bhakti movement. Few of the Bhakti saints who are also writers are Namdev, Sena, Janabai, Eknath. This is very important. Eknath's commentary on Bhagavad Gita Purana and Ramayana, Tukaram and Ramdas. Other nationalist writers are Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He ran a newspaper called Kesari in Marathi, and these are the other authors in Marathi literature. Thank you.